going to start. I just would like to see the Ramah in Siman Taf Chav Tes. So might as well see the Mechaber also, because once you're already seeing the Ramah, it's worthwhile to see the Mechaber. Sholim Hilchos Pesach Kaidim La Pesach Shloshim Yom. Now this halacha doesn't say it by Sukkos, and it doesn't say it by Shavuos. And there's a bit of a discussion why, but I think for most people, they understand that Pesach has a lot of halachas to it, and you need to be very proficient to know what's going on. Okay. Minig liknois chitim lachalkam la'aniyim letzorech Pesach. There's a minig to collect wheat and give it to aniyim letzorech Pesach. V'chol mi shador be'ir shnei mosar chodesh tzorech litein lazeh. Okay. If I was in yeshiva, I would say to my chavrusa, what was the last sentence that we said? What kind of halacha is that? What kind of a classification is that? And I'm going to answer the question. I think that the most recent people that wrote on this subject is Rabbi Zalti, and he asks a question: is ma'os chitim, what we call, right, this ma'os chitim, is that a mitzvah of tzedakah, or is that a communal tax?
The latter.
The latter.
It's a responsibility to the poor people of the city.
1 second.
So that's tzedakah.
Yeah.
No, tzedakah. No. It's a chov on the tzibur to make sure they have water. It's outside the realm of tzedakah.
1 second. Is there a chov on the tzibur to mefarnes aniyim?
Yes. But specifically for Pesach.
What?
This one is dependent upon a 12-month period.
Yeah.
That means you have to be part of that community. Not
Why is that any different?
Why is it different? That's the question.
What's okay? I don't know why. I don't even know why that would be true. Maybe you're only chayiv in tzedakah of people that live in your city if you're there 12 months. In other words, you have to know a lot of other halachas to know if that statement that you made is correct.
Is it not correct?
It for certain things it is, certain things it's not.
For this is correct?
I don't know. This is a very big machlokes achrayim. What the bottom line of this is, but big not. What's the question that my chavrusa would ask back? What's the nafkamina, right? What's the difference? What's the difference? We pull out of this pocket, we pull out of that pocket. Just give. What's the difference? Shlomo, what's the answer? Is a ani potter, right? A person who's potter from other chiyuvei tzedakah, would he be potter from this one? Okay, that's like from the the yeshivish subjects that surround this halacha. And I think that it's very important to understand that there's a genuine chiyuv. It's not. This is when the tzedakah's the kupa za'ir and the lemana chai. This is they grab hold of this, some kind of a thing called ma'os chitim. This is a real chiyuv. And there's another question: can a person take this from meiser, or is this from your civil obligations that you have to do? All things that a person is mechuyev to pay for, he cannot pay for them with meiser money. Okay? And if this is something that you have to do, so then you can't pay for it with meiser money. Right. That's what we discussed this.
So what's Matanas Levyonim? I mean, that's a mitzvah that we're asked.
You cannot pay for Matanas Levyonim with meiser money. Now, 1 second. How much? First of all, did I lose you already?
No.
Okay. How much do you have to give for Matanas Levyonim? X. If you're giving more than X, the more than X you could take from meiser.
What's the X? Who decides the X?
Okay, so there's a Mishnah Berurah, there's a Rabbi Avrohom, there are some poskim that discuss what is the minimum share that a person is mechuyev to give for Matanas Levyonim. You could ask me next year before Purim for the ads.
That's different from most children?
I want to ask you a question. You have children.
Yeah.
You sent them to school.
Yeah.
Can you take your schar limud from Meiser?
You're trying to have that, come to the point, but I don't think so.
Why not?
Obligation.
I'm going to tell you why. Because you have a child. Doesn't make a difference. Your Meiser's tshuva on this doesn't make a difference to the boy or a girl. You have an obligation to make sure that they grow up to be Shemer Torah mitzvahs. I don't think that if a person sends their child to public school in the United States of America, they are securing their child's future in a positive religious way. So therefore, you're forced to send them from a school. So if from a school charges, you have no heter to take that money from Meiser. Now, that's the straight halacha. I can't say that there aren't ways that, that tuition boards can work around this, but that is the simple halacha. These are obligations, they're your children, they're your responsibility to make sure that they're Shemer Torah mitzvahs, and you have to do whatever it takes. If your child needs a tutor, you can't take that from Meiser. If your child doesn't need a tutor, and you want to have him learn extra, if you can take that from Meiser, Rav Moshe Feinstein says you can't.
You
Cannot. And I'll tell you why. He says, this is some fascinating thought, he says a parent's obligation is to make their kid the best the kid can be. There's no such thing as extra. There's no such thing as extra. It's not like, you did the, whatever he needs, that's what you have to do. There are others who I think disagree on that nakuda, but these are important general Jewish concepts. So you have to have. What?
You were less than 12 months in the city, so you wouldn't be as included.
Yeah, then you would be able to. That could be. It could be you're not even mechuyev. Okay.
As far as the tutoring or teaching, I thought they have to teach for free and you're just paying for the people's land.
Whatever, it's irrelevant. Whatever it costs you to have it, that's what you have to pay for. If your child...
You're not paying for the teaching, you're paying for
Right. Whatever it is, that's what it costs to get it to happen. You have to pay for it. Okay. All right. Now just do halacha beis. Enef la'pnei kol chodesh Nisan. This is from most famous halachas in all of our Chaim. No tachlum for a whole month. B'charis mis'anim erev Pesach. V'ein amrit tzedek hadin b'chol chodesh Nisan. V'nogu she'ein mis'anim boi tainis klal. We don't fast at all. Fil yom shemeis ba'ava v'imo a yartzeit. V'afil tainis chala mis'anim. Ve'enam remizmal asayda ve'erech hapai v'lavratzech ve'erev Pesach v'lo b'yom tov, because you can't bring a korban toida. Ve'noagim laharbes ksas b'achil b'shtila b'yom achar achag v'hu isuchag. And isuchag, there's a chiyuv to eat more. Okay.
We're maktim the times for Purim?
Yes, we're going to be maktim on Thursday this year.
With regard to Maras Chitim, the Rav mentioned, like here, the different organisations that are collecting for Maras Chitim. In the past, you understand, there was like one Jewish village, a kehillah, and the kehillah gave to one source. So here you can be, say, with any organisation that says it's collecting for Maras Chitim, or how does it work to fill the obligation?
I would imagine that you should give it to a local organization that distributes the money. I would imagine all of the major tzedakahs have that they could have it from the cities that you give to. It's not going to be if a person wants to give to Kupa Seir or Avad Rabbanim, I'm sure that they have it worked out also. But if you ask me, a person definitely should give to the Manachai or to Kupa Shel Tzedakah, because that's that's a guarantee that's going to go to somebody local.
Like the shul doesn't have a specific Maras Chitim for Avos Shalom, but they have a fund for helping people. Maybe people, the members of the shul should give to that.
Yeah, okay, that could be. I have in the past given Maras Chitim to people here in the shul. That could happen, but you're not mechuyev to do that, right? In other words, if you have a neighbor, Mr. Cohn, right? And you want to give him Moschitim, so you can give it to me, that I can give it to him, but that's a way to get it to him. But you don't have any chiv to give it to him more than to give it to this person or to that person, right?
I'm just wondering if this shoe is like a killer, like in these little places in Poland. This would be about to men that might be in the village. So
Yeah,
100 members. of the
yeah,
church,
okay,
so it's
but
really-
but if you lived in Vilna, there were way more people, right? So it depends where a person was. Okay. Shabbos lifnei Pesach, Koronoi to Shabbos Hagadol, Mipnei Anes Shenasa Boy. That's the day that they took the cow. V'minig loimer b'mincha Haggadah. The sheep, sorry. Adam Haggadah, me'Haggadah ma'yino ad l'chapel al kol avodaseinu, v'poiskim loimer borchi nafshi. We don't say borchi nafshi. Okay. Now we're going to start the B'dikas Chometz. Betchilas lelar ba'aser b'nisim boitkim es ha-chometz la'or haner b'chorim mizdokim. You check for chometz with a candle in the nooks and crannies. B'chol ma'vukoymas shederech lahachnis sham chometz. All places where people put chometz there. Now, why does it say that you check the chorim mizdokim? Why doesn't it say that you check your closets?
Usually don't bring anything in the closet, that's why. Unless you're a kid,
You wish.
unless you're a baby or something like that. But
Okay.
adult, we're not,
Well, I just ask you a question, Mr. Adult. Where do you put chametz and chorim tzedakah? Just tell me. You don't put them in closets, but you put them in chorim tzedakah.
that could be that, sometimes a piece.
Where is that chor v'sedek? Where is that chor v'sedek that you're that
Any
the?
place.
So that means that before that chor v'sedek, you put chametz.
You didn't put it there, but you didn't.
It could be there.
We ended up there.
Yeah,
So that means that any place where chametz could end up.
but it's unusual that it would end up specifically in a closet.
Why? You were at a wedding, you had something in your jacket, or you had something. You dropped it.
That's Berurah. That's
That's not sound like Perurim. You took home one of those goodie bags of desserts from the wedding.
Okay. All right. I'll just share with you the first year that I was living in Eretz Yisrael. I learned with a Rav, Gishalayim Rav, and he told me on Chol HaMoed, somebody came to him the night of the Seder with a big cookie, and he said, "What do I do with it?" So he asked the guy, "Where did you get it from?" So he said, "This is Yerushalayim." So they wear a kaftan, a white kaftan, for Leila Seder. They have this Yerushalayim, I don't know what that's called, a robe. What's it called?
Yeah.
This what? Yeah, whatever. And they wear that also on Yom Kippur. And he was at Yom Kippur. He just realized that no, he was at Yom Kippur. He was at Shul, and there was a bris. And after Ma'ariv, they handed out for the people that were there the bris. They gave everybody a cookie to take home the cover the bris. So he stuck the cookie in his pocket, and he put his jacket in the closet, and he didn't use it from Yom Kippur till what?
It was Roy Lachilas Kel.
A cookie will be 100%. 100%. It's still Roy Lachilas Adam. Forget about the Kelev. It's 100% edible.
It was wrapped. Or did it like
Yeah, the tissue. It'll be fine. It'll be absolutely fine. And he said, I don't eat on Yom Kippur, so why should I check my jacket, right? And, so here he was, Vel Pesach. And these things do happen.
Wasn't covered by the bittel, he said.
Not a kazayas.
No, he said in the form of the bittel, it includes all the places you're not.
Let's say it is. What's the halach if you find chametz on Pesach?
Destroy it.
So what do you want? This is Pesach and he found chametz.
Yeah, he's got to destroy it. I mean, he's not chayav because he's, for the sense.
We're not killing anybody here. That's not.
You have to bring it to the Rav.
Well, he wanted to know what to do. He shouldn't have brought it to the Rav, but that's what he did. Okay. Anyways, I just tell you, my neighbor, 30 years ago, Pesach night, he says, "Could you please come to my house?" So I said, why? He says, I think I have wheat inside my chicken soup. And I went to his house, and I looked at his pot, and it looked to me like there was wheat inside. So I said, before we throw it out, I went a few buildings down. I have a friend there who he cuts wheat for Pesach, for matzahs, for a few years, and I asked him to take down some kernels. And we brought the kernels next to the pot. They looked exactly the same. And that was the end of that guy's chicken and soup. Right? It was chametz. Now, nowadays, I'll just say, in general, somebody would come to me and tell me that they found such a thing, I would tell them forget about it. Because the poultry producers of the good hechsherim, they don't feed them wheat close to Pesach, so that this problem shouldn't happen.
Sorry, the problem was from the poultry producer or from the neighbor who's weak into
No, it was into the stomach, of the
stomach?
in the stomach, because the chicken ate wheat. I just,
Somebody did not clean that chicken very well.
okay. I will just share with you from the like, you want to know what happened. I did this twice in my life, but once on Chol Hamoed Pesach, I shechted a keves in my chatzer. Okay? And before I shechted it, I made an announcement in public. There were about 50 or 60 people there. I got this keves. It wasn't mine. I got it with this fellow who got it from an Arab. I said, we are not acquiring any chametz that exists in this animal. And there was somebody there. He called the Rav and he says, do you have to be choshesh for such a thing? So he says, no, you don't have to be choshesh. We shechted the animal, and when the innards were taken out, there was wheat inside. That's all. So in other words, you want to know what really happens, it really happens. It didn't only happen in the Gemara's times, it could happen now as times too. You just have to be on top of the situation. But the nooks and crannies that you have to look for, it's not talking about the insides of your cows. That's not what it's talking about. But I would just say that you need the or haner for the chormas dakim. The non-chormas dakim, that you could use a regular light for. The chormas dakim need to be illuminated with a greater amount than the general area, and that's why you need to have a candle.
Flashlight.
So I've discussed this in the past. I'll just say the following statement. There is an advantage of a ner. If a person has a incandescent flashlight, according to many poskim, that's equal to a ner.
They're all LEDs now.
Nobody has any.
Okay, so a person should at least...
I use, four D batteries, right?
Yeah, but the thing
And
is,
that lasts the
when
whole
you have a
hour.
LED light, you're not afraid to go into the chorim. Exactly, with the candle, you are afraid.
I want to argue with you on this practical point. It's not a question where you're going to go, it's how you use it.
Yeah.
The fact that you're not going to go into it with the candle makes you use it better.
The wax falls all over.
I'm looking under a bed. So the flashlight, I can really go under the bed and look. With the candle.
I don't know. I'll just tell you, when I look under the beds, I have a sheet on how this is done. I put the candle on the floor, and I look at the floor line. And you can see very well. But if a person can't use a candle, then they should use it. They should use whatever they can. They can use it.
He's saying practically the candle is better.
I think there's an advantage to the. Yeah, I think that there's a practical advantage. Besides, for the Gemara says you learn ner miner b'chipos, and you want to have a ner that's a ner. But there's a nekuda, the way that candle casts shadows makes you use it better than a cursory glance with a very straight light.
The candle slows you down.
Yeah.
Enough for your car?
I'll just tell you, most people do their cars with a flashlight. But I'll just make the following statement about cars. I don't think that there's any car that's done as well as a room. Don't just leave it like that. Anybody who has a car,
I don't think you would check more.
You bring into service and they go through it quite well.
yeah, okay, but after everything is said and done, in the car, there's always, there's it's a car is a very hard thing to do.
So you spray, well, after you're done, you spray it with like
Yeah.
Kleenex or something.
Okay, fine, but to evacuate the chametz from a car is not a simple thing. Anything which has a carpeting in it is already a difficulty. But for it to be yaitza the chiyuv, again, to be yaitza the chiyuv, you don't need to do so much. There's two different things. There's being yaitza the chiyuv, and there's maximizing on your kiyum of the chiyuv.
I know from my experience that the candle in the house has another big disadvantage
Yeah.
in terms of shalom diet, because my wife is, very tense.
Get your own candles. You don't have to use hers.
No. As he said, the wax on the floor, and also the terror that something will catch on fire. She's already, lady's very tense as Pesach is approaching.
Okay, so this is, I will just tell you one of two things. A person has to realize what is in their scope of ability. My job is to tell you what does halacha want the best to do. I would say that a person should eat 5 kezesim of matzah on Pesach. What can he do if the person's in the hospital and he barely could eat? So I'll say that 1 kezais is enough. So is that the right thing to tell him? Yes, but that's not what I should say here in the shir, right? Okay, so here in the shir. So if you have a problem what to do in your house, you can ask a personal question. Okay. Now here comes a very fascinating halacha, and this is hyper unusual. V'yizor kol adam shelo yaschil shum malacha olechol ad sheyivdek. A person shouldn't do any malacha or eat until he makes a b'dika. V'afilu yesh la eis kavua lilmoid lo yilmod ad sheyivdek. Push off your learning until you make a b'dika. V'im hischil lilmod bibod yom, and if you started learning early, ein tzach lahafsik, says the Ramah. V'yesh amrim shetzach lahafsik v'chein nirli iker. Even if you started working, and if it will be a regular night, and you had a chiyuv of tefillah or kriyas shema, deraisa derabanan, you would be able to continue. But lel erev seder, lel b'dikas chametz is more chomer than both of them. Okay. Where is this? Okay. Well, inyan tefillah ches. Well, inyan tefillas ma'ariv. Oisam hamispal ma'ariv bezmano betzibur yispal lo mikoydem. The Torah lekapsam achakach. It's difficult to get people to come to shul later on. V'gam mein lochash kol kach sheyishkach livdoik. Sharei tefillah hi davar kavua ve'ein shayach bo shema yamoshech. People don't usually have extra long Shemona Esreis on B'dikas Chametz night. V'amispal b'beisva yiten achar livdoik v'hu yispalo. V'dal yedei zeh yikayim shneihem bizmanam. V'ileka achar yispalo tchila. He should have him first. Achid im hu rogel yispalo la'olam b'yochid. Yivdoik tchila dekivan de rogel b'kach lo'chashinan kol kach Shema Yishkach, because he always remembers to daven, because it's on his mind. V'achol k'yagav because the ol yispal al tchila, the toder she'ena toder koidim. Okay. V'im hischil ilmoid v'adin shar malachos mi'boad yom bezman haheter v'lochein ein tzarich lahafsik, because when you started doing beheter. V'afil kriyas shema shu doraisa the kaim malon reish lam and hey dim hischil beheter ein mafsik. That's the B'dikas Chametz have a daraisa, just like Kriyas Shema, calls man shaloi bitel, and even though he's going to make a bittel when he finishes the beer. ובדרייסה פייסק, כמו שכתוב צריך להפסיק, אף תתחילה בהתר, בתימון דעיקר המצווה לכתחילה קבעו חכמים בתחילת הלילה. על כן צריך להפסיק כדי שיסקיים המצווה כתיקונו. This is an extremely unusual precedent. A person can be makayim the mitzvah, but not exactly kitikuno, and we say that you have to be mevatel from doing something that you started beheter to do it. Now, it's if the pshat would be that you're going to miss out on something else, so then I understand. But always say if you're going to end up being makayim the mitzvah anyway, so it's not going to be so exactly as Chazal wanted it, so we would allow you to continue to do the mitzvah that you were doing. But over here, we say, no, we want it dafka done now, and you have to close your Gemara and do the bedika. B'chei nir li'ikir, v'hu adin l'shar malacha, mikol mokom nir de'en tzach lahafsik ela kishigia zman shel tzeisak echofim. But you don't have to stop a half hour earlier. Okay. Now here, these are the halachas of the brachas. Koidem sheyascha livdoik yivorach asher kirishanu b'mitzvah tzivanu al bir chametz. So why do you make a bracha al bir chametz? Because the bedika is part of the beer. V'im hischa livdoik b'lay bracha yivorach kol zman sheloi siyem bedikosoi. So this is a fascinating idea. Why can I make a bracha as long as I didn't finish?
Maybe because the bracha is beer and not abedikas chametz or al.
Okay, if that would be the answer, then you could make it even when you're finished. But it doesn't say that. It says
it's close to finish. It
okay.
As long as you're still doing it, you can still do it. You still have to do it over l'asiyaso. But so therefore you could still be kind.
Okay.
Part of all the view.
You answered a different question, not his question. Not the question I asked. I asked, why could you make a bracha while you're still in the middle of the bedika?
As opposed to
You're too late.
only before.
What?
You haven't finished it. You're still.
So therefore,
So we can still make a bracha.
why?
If you forgot to leave.
Why?
It's before the end because it's still the mitzvah.
What you said and what he said are two different things.
If I put on tzitzis and I didn't make a bracha when I put it on, I could be menar later and make the bracha, no?
You don't even menar. It's not the right word.
Well,
Yeah. Okay. And why could you do that?
I'm still wearing it.
No. We don't pascha like that. We say that you could do it because it's over l'asiyasam from the rest of your wearing. That's like he said, not like he said. There's a difference. One is that while I'm still doing the mitzvah, I could still make a bracha. And the other one is I'm still before part of the mitzvah. And this is a fascinating idea. The Taz explains this at great length. I'll just use myself as an example. I like to use myself as an example because I'm pretty familiar with myself. I have a house in Yerushalayim, and I have a house in Ramat Beit Shemesh. How many mitzvahs of B'dikas Chametz do I have?
2.
Is it on the gabber, the chefs?
One on all your shoes.
Okay. What?
One on all your shoes.
Okay. Well, we're going to discuss that in
All the
a
house and the car, whoever.
Okay, now I'm going to ask the question. A person who has a 3-room dira, how many chiyuvim does he have? 1 or 3?
1.
Okay. So
He has 1 chiyuv to do all 3 rooms.
It's a chiv on the gabber, no?
okay, I understand that that's one possibility, and I would like to share with you another possibility. Okay?
There's a big difference in that question that you're asking. One is 2 different locations, 2 different areas, 2 different GIF. Here, that's one house that's a couple of rooms. I mean, there's a big difference.
If you were in family structure, those 2 rooms would be 2 different houses.
If somebody else living in that other room and not you, so maybe yeah, but it's a 3-room house that belongs to you, so it's one house.
Okay. Here it is. Venirali, Divrei Yeshav Nechaimim Sheyesh Hefsik Kishemedaber Kodim Gemar Habedika. This is we're going to learn shortly. Why? V'lo dami l'sukkah v'lesuda shemevi rosh raya diachol lahafsik be'emtza. Dehasam iboy mesayim sham v'lo yachol yoser b'sukkah v'suda. You can always end your meal wherever you are. Mash'en came b'vedika deloy sagile kol shaloi nigmar bedika. Umemela kol shaloi gamar adayin oisoi chelek nikra haschola etzloi. What you're about to do is not the middle.
Every part is a new part.
Every part is a new chiyuv. Da'im loy birach betchil mavarach adayim be'esahi k'moshe kosu b'simen zeh sefal v'af al pi shel inyan tzach ein tzach lachzor levarach kivon shekvar hischel inyan mikol mokom yesh lo lizor b'kiyum ha'mitzvah lahafsik b'kiyumoy b'chol ha'hechreach loy. Anything which is necessary. V'lo sagi b'lav hochi ki yoytz b'zeh v'siran by tekiyas, that a person shouldn't talk between the tekiyas the miyushav and the tekiyas the mu'umad. Okay? Now, the point which he's saying is that every room is its own chiyuv bedika. Now, yes, you have a chiyuv to do all of those rooms. So, I don't know if it's each balata, I don't know how we divide it up. But according to that, the reason why you're not allowed to talk is because the reason why you're allowed to make a bracha still is, as he says, is because you're over lasiyasam from those upcoming mitzvahs that you're going to do. The mitzvah that you did until now will be done without a bracha.
If you only clean one room and then stop, will you Mekayim one chiyuv or will you Mekayim nothing?
I think it's a machlokes achronim. But you definitely you didn't finish your chiyuv. Right. No, you did a chiyuv, okay, but you didn't finish. Right. Okay, but
I'll add to that. According to that, then that means each room you have to go in. You have to make a separate bracha for it.
But that's true. That's why you make one bracha. You have all the rooms in mind. That's exactly true. And that's exactly what one should do. I'll just say, the place where we see not like this, there are 2 places which I know of that this klal doesn't follow, and the one which I believe is the most well discussed is mitzvahs yeshiva sukkah. In the mitzvah of yeshiva sukkah, none of us make a bracha over lasiyasa. We go into the sukkah, we sit down, and we make ha'moitzi, and we say leishev. Before you walked into the sukkah, you should have said leishev. Okay? And in the mitzvah of leishev sukkah, b'myuchad, the Magen Avram discusses this, that could be that your bracha works backwards. It works for the whole unit of the yeshiva that you're in. So there are certain places where it could be that your bracha works, like he said, that as long as it's attached to the unit, it's called like over lasiyasan. And here is a place where there's a machlekes about this issue.
What's the difference if it goes backwards now?
Did the first part of your mitzvah have a bracha to it?
Did you do the mitzvah? That's the thing.
No, that's not what I asked. I asked a very simple question. Did the first part of your mitzvah have a bracha to it?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, well, I think that it depends on this. Okay. Okay. Just like all things, when you make a bracha until you start doing the mitzvah, you shouldn't talk. Why? So here the Mechaber says something which is not what everybody agrees to. Why? We're afraid if you're going to talk, you're going to lose track of your mission.
Not because it's a hefsek.
Not because it's a hefsek, right. Okay. The hefsek ben bracha l'mitzvah. But if you already started the mitzvah, the bazeh ain't tzach lachzor l'varach, kivon shekvar hischel b'mitzvah, v'dvarim shein tzarech habedika, gam lechatchila yachol ledaber. You notice all things that have to do with the bedika and getting rid of your chametz, you're allowed to speak about shezelo chashav hefsek klal. So that means if you need a new candle, or if you want somebody to sweep up the crumbs that you found, you're allowed to say the words, could you please bring a brush. Okay. I'll just say that those are careful that they don't do that either, because once people start speaking, they tend to speak about all other areas too.
Maybe there's that section for the Rav. The Rav can still answer shilas while he's doing the Badika, people call in.
Yes, I do. Okay. I will just tell you that the people who call to ask shilas on Erev Pesach, usually they're either extremely important or they're totally not legit to anything. Okay? Okay. But that's a mitzvah that I have.
That's not considered a hefsek for the Rav in the Badika.
It's not, because that's my job that I have to do that. Bracha achas yochel livdoik kama batim. Now the question that I asked before comes back to haunt me. Whose batim are these that you're checking? Of course it one bracha. If the chiyuv is on you to get rid of all the chametz in your house, so Yerushalayim and Beit Shemesh, of course it goes one bracha.
But that's if you're doing it simultaneously, the same one after the other.
Well, that's how I do it. How would I do it?
No, maybe a few hour hefsek.
We'll discuss. He discusses over here. He discusses over here this idea of if it's in a different chutzner or not. Well, let's just v'im bal bayis right say yamid minei beis esel b'shashu mevarach v'yisfazer livdak ish b'mekaymoi al smach bracha sheberach bal bayis. And if a person wants, and I do this in my house, I divide my house up between me and my sons, and we each have our districts that we do, and this way it expedites the bedika, and this way they're mekayim a chiyuv of bedikas chametz. Okay. Kama batim v'halicha mibayis labayis lo havi hefsek. That's we starting statement. V'ayim b'chay adam shekased in boirik beisoy v'chanusoi v'chanusu b'chotzer acheres tzorch lachzor l'vorach. Why is that? Because a different chiyuv bedika. Each house is part of the same mitzvah. So therefore I could go from Yerushalayim to Beit Shemesh, and it's okay. That's what only happens. A person should take a actual part to doing the bedika. V'ketanim mikol makom lechatchila nochel nosher yismoch ela al nosher b'nei chorim shegiu lecha mitzvos. Dahaynu mishloshas shana v'ailach. They should be gedolim. Lefi shabedika hilchasi sheyesh bo terach gadol v'yesh lo choshem yisatzlu lo yivdok yochfa. You have to be careful that the people that are doing the bedika are diligent.
But he says you can have teenagers do it?
Yeah.
That doesn't fit.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Okay. Shebech Balabais Lo Shamu Berchasa Lechatchila Ein Leshachem Livdoik. If the shluchim didn't hear the bracha of Balabais, you shouldn't have them do bedika. Mikol Mokum Kosher Ligmar Bedika Matzi Yochel Levakesh Achashes Yen Voice Acher Ein Otzarach Levorech. Why? Shekol Bedika Mitzah Achas Kvar Berch Balabais Oleho. Now there are those who say that each person who is doing the bedika, they have to. The bracha is allotted to the bodek, not to the Mekayim mitzvah. This is a machlekes achrayim. Okay, and here comes the most famous halacha. V'noigin laniach petite chametz b'makom sheyimtzim ha'bodek kadesh le'bracha levatala. Mi'u moinasan lo ikev the das koladam ha'bracha levayer im yimtzan. If you don't find, then you don't have any chiyuv. Okay. And those are chaylik on this. V'ataz kosavo the bracha havi amashi yivar mochor. Even if you don't find anything, you already have from the food that you're planning to eat tomorrow, there's going to be something left over to burn. And you should put out the pieces. Okay.